Hello again. This is the fourth video as far as my commitment series. If you're new to this, I told myself I was committing to recording a video every week, either going live or recording a video every week to build up commitment, because I have always had commitment issues with stick-to-itiveness and being consistent. So I saw online that someone said you can do little commitments to things like this to build up your ability to commit to something and follow through. And so I kind of do these videos come hell or high water. Now I'm missing the video from last week. I did record it, but when I tried to upload it, it didn't go. So by the time I noticed, it was way too late in the week, and I'm like, okay, that's just gonna overlap with this one. But anyway, this is going to be short, sweet, to the point, like me. I guess what I've been studying a lot of, and this is not brand new or whatever, it's just I've been doing a lot of studying on inner child work, and that's something that I see mentioned a lot in the mental health community. I don't know how to put it, but I follow a lot of different pages and stuff on Instagram, and that's one of the things that I see mentioned a lot. And not specifically the inner child work part of it, but the trauma. So I'm going to kind of talk about inner child work and trauma. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a behavioral health or mental health professional. These are just little tips and tricks. I just share different things that I've learned either from books or online or from my own studying that I think might be helpful to somebody else, and hopefully this is. Like I said, I'm going to do these regardless because they're for me and it's actually healing to me, and hopefully in the process of healing myself, I can help you heal yourself. So I guess I'll start with trauma. Now, I started going to therapy some years ago, and therapy has been off and on. Like I said, much like everything else in my life, there's nothing that's really been consistent. It's just now that I'm like starting to be consistent with stuff and committed to stuff. So when you go into therapy, one of the first questions they ask you is like, well, why are you here? What is it that you're looking to get out of therapy? What is it that you're trying to accomplish within yourself? And so I used to say, when I didn't really know any better, I want to be normal. And so what I was basically trying to say is I wanted the ability to control my emotions instead of having them control me. I wanted to be able to be stable mentally and emotionally. I didn't want to always be so off the scale and just all over the place. That's how I felt. I felt like a mess. I didn't know how to communicate my feelings. I didn't know what I was feeling. And so I just would be all over the place. And so I've grown, and I've been, like I said, in and out of therapy for years and doing different things, and I've gotten a lot better, and I'm really proud of myself. And I know that it's a journey, so it's never going to be a point that I get to just being perfect, but I can tell you that I am much better at self-control and watching my anger and taking deep breaths and walking away and holding my tongue until I can say something that's positive or productive or that needs to be. All of that is just, oh my God, way better than it used to be before. And so coming back to the topic of trauma, when you have traumatic events occur, especially if you're constantly being re-traumatized, it's hard for any of your coping skills, mechanisms, or anything that you do to make sense. Because that animalistic part of your brain is much different than the reasoning and the rational part, and so I had, I think a therapist explained to me, or someone, maybe I was watching a TED Talk. Like I said, I do a lot of study on this kind of stuff, and I discovered that one of the reasons why, because I don't know if you're like me, but it's like, okay, I have all these coping skills. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. How come when I get in the heat of the battle or the argument, it all goes out the window and I fly off the handle and I say things I don't mean and I hit the wall, and I had someone tell me, or I learned, that it's because that animalistic part of your brain, the reactive part, moves much quicker than the reasoning part. So when you're hit with a situation like a blunt trauma, it's like, okay, you have two parts of your brain. Like, okay, we can either think this through and take a deep breath and that, but that takes conditioning. So you can either think things through and be rational, or you can fly off the handle and just blow everything out of proportion and whatever else if you're triggered. And so, like I said, that's what used to happen to me all the time. I did not have any reasoning, no rational thought, no nothing. I was pure emotion, didn't matter. There was no lid to my pot. And the crazy thing is I used to brag about being like that, right? And so yeah, so I talked to, like, bring it back to current day, I talked to a therapist, or like I said, I learned that you can do all of that self-help reading and coping mechanisms and stuff like that, but if you do not deal with your inner child and the traumas that you've experienced, it's not going to mean anything. Some of that stuff you have to get out before you can even exercise the new tools that you have, and so, like I said, coming back to trauma, if you've experienced trauma, there are different things that you can do. I listen to a lot of like binaural beats and music, and like I said, I watch a lot of TED Talks and things like that touch on how to heal and how to deal with trauma in your life, and so there's just different things you can do. Like I said, definitely seeking out a mental health professional. But if you're like me and you were wondering why I know what to do but I'm not doing it, it's probably some kind of trauma that's lodged in your heart or in your brain, or something that's causing you to not be able to think things through, because what you're going through now feels so close to what you experienced before when you were traumatized that it seems like the same thing. And so what's happening is your eyes are seeing something, or your ears are hearing something, you're experiencing something that is triggering that trauma in you that hasn't been dealt with. So the only way to resolve things is to go through them. You can't go over, under, around any of that. If you don't go through it, it's going to be there. And it is very difficult, especially because when you know better. You know what I mean? So there's one level of things that you work through and it's like, oh, those were easy, I can do that. But then I am in that place where I'm dealing with the deeper stuff, and it gets harder the deeper that you go. But also you have more wisdom and experience and different things. So it's a balance. Like I said, that's what it is you can go to therapy and you can do all these things and try to be better and get better, but you will have to deal with those triggering events and those traumas that you've experienced before you can really fully heal. And then the inner child work is what I'm really excited about. I don't know if you've never heard that term before. It's basically like everybody has an inner child. And I kind of learned this back in college. I think I took a psych class, and my teacher said that when you're dealing with an adult, 9 times out of 10 you are dealing with the inner child inside. Now that was back in 2006, so that was way before this whole new craze and the trending inner child thing. And so I always held on to that. And I'm the baby of 4, so I've always kind of been a little childish and goofy. Like, I'll turn cartwheels in the street, and I'll paint my nails all different colors, and I don't know, I just do a lot of childish stuff. I was really childish way past the time that it was acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, I was still playing with Barbies way past the age that everybody else was. I had a lot of like Arrested Development, and I was slow to progress. So a lot of things that most 31-year-olds know, I'm kind of still struggling with, because everything was kind of pushed out a little bit for me. And like I said, I've learned that the key to love is taking something and seeing the beauty in it instead of putting it down and shaming it. And so it's like, okay, yes, I may not be exactly where I want to be, but there are pros and to me being this way, and it can be an asset, and so, like I said, I look at myself more like my son's big sister than his mother, I play with him and different things like that, and we play in a way that you would think that we're siblings. Like, you wouldn't think that I'm his mom. Now, when it comes time to being mom, I can be mom, but when we play, my imagination and stuff is just, my creativity is like the same way that his is. So we make up all these games and all these fun things and whatever else like that. So that's kind of how I do my inner child work. So your inner child work is basically, well, how I do it is, like, I'm an adult, okay? I'm 31, but most of the trauma that you experience, most of the trauma that I experienced, I'll say that, was, growing up. That's where it comes in, that's where the door gets open, and then everything else just feeds and adds on to that. But, yeah, so your inner child work is basically giving your inner child a chance to have a voice and to have a say-so and to get those emotions and those thoughts out that may have been suppressed. Basically showing your inner child unconditional love and letting your inner child know that it's okay to be who you are and to cry if you need to break down, whatever the case is, reminding your inner child that you're safe. So one of the things that I always come across is, if you experience a situation and you react, I think somebody said, if the situation pretty much warrants a reaction of 5 and you take it up to a 10, you can pretty much bet that something in you deeper has been triggered beyond that situation. And I find that happens a lot. I have little flashbacks and different things that happen from past relationships and from growing up and different things like that. And I have to remind my inner child, you're loved and you're safe. It's okay. This is the way that I talk to myself. It's okay. Like, visualization is really helpful too. So I found some like old baby pictures of myself, and that's what I look at, and then I like lay down and close my eyes or whatever. But I talk to my inner child that way, and I say, it's okay. Or I visualize hugging her, like like I said, the child version of myself, hugging her or rubbing her back or rubbing her head, telling her how loved she is and that it's okay. I have to do these things in the moments where, like I said, I'm at a 10 and the situation is like, where is all that coming from? And it indicates to me that something is being triggered that wasn't healed before. So it's giving your inner child a place to be able to heal so that you can finally really be an adult, and so that you're not coming across adult situations and still tapping into a childlike mindset because you never got to grow up from that point. That inner child gets stuck and lodged in that place because your parents or your caregivers or whatever, your parents or your caregivers or whatever the case is, didn't do the work that they should have done. They didn't make you feel protected and loved unconditionally, and so now you're like yearning for something that you didn't get. And so now that you're an adult and you understand, especially if you're a parent, you have permission to give your inner child, like I said, the things that it needs to be able to heal and grow. And so, like I said, visualization was really helpful for me too. I kind of do that when I'm meditating too. Now, some of this might sound really foreign, but like I said, if it's one person that it helps, great, because it helps me. When I'm meditating, it's like I disassociate a little bit. So it's like I'm sitting here, my eyes are closed, but it's like I see myself outside of myself. If I can see myself outside of myself, or if I can see my emotions or my thoughts as something that I have rather than something that has me, I feel like I'm more in control. Somebody else explained it like, you're the sky. So you're the sky, and the clouds are your thoughts and your feelings. Now, you can always see the sky. Sometimes the clouds are really heavy and sometimes they completely overtake, but sometimes they're just sporadic and they come and they go and they pass. But you have to know that you are the sky. You remain regardless of what feelings and thoughts, they are going to pass. And I understand that in the moment your feelings and your thoughts seem like they're not going to pass, like they are going to take you under and you can't breathe and you're panicking. Believe me, I know all of that. I still work through all of that on a daily basis. But it's like, like I said, you have to talk to yourself. And so I disassociate. And as I'm sitting here, if I start to get overwhelmed or have an anxiety attack or otherwise, I sit here and I close my eyes and it's like I watch myself. And when I'm anxious, I think, how would that anxiety be manifested in a person form? And so I sit here and I close my eyes and I look at myself, and it's good because I'm a Gemini, so it's like the twins and then whatever else, but so it's like it's easy for me to have two people or whatever. So I sit there, I close my eyes, and I see myself in front of myself, and if I'm anxious, it's like I see myself pacing. And so I kind of just watch myself pace back and forth, and I kind of talk to myself like, Jasmine, calm down. Jasmine, calm down. Excuse me, sorry. I'm like, Jasmine, calm down. And then I keep taking my deep breaths. I listen to whatever music or whatever I need to be able to, bring it down. And so as I do that, I watch myself get slower and slower. And then it's kind of like I convince myself to, okay, come sit down. And like I said, this might be weird for somebody else, but this is something that I came across online. And I think I just made an enhanced version of it. But yeah, and so then once I can finally feel like I have control of that emotion or that anxiety that's pacing back and forth, and I convince it to sit here, like I said, I just feel more in control. And so I'm like, okay, sit here. And then it's like I just take deep breaths until it passes. And if, my anxiety stands up again, like I said, it's easier for me to like put it in a human form or in a life form. And so it's like if my anxiety starts to rise again, I'm like, don't start pacing again. Have a seat. Like, let's just bring it all together. And it works for me. And like I said, that could probably be the same as the inner child work, but like giving yourself permission to talk to yourself and know we talk to ourselves all day long. Like, you beat yourself up about different things that you do, like, oh, I'm so stupid, why did I blah blah blah. And I don't honestly, 9 times out of 10, I do not talk to myself like that. And I do, because I don't like when other people talk to themselves like that. And if somebody talks to me like that, I know that they're probably talking to themselves like that. Oh, you're so stupid. Why would you do that? Oh, but I get mad at things, but I don't, because I know how hard it is to build myself back up once I've been beating myself down. So life brings me down and I go do a mask or take a bath or read a book or do something for self-care, but that's not my issue. I don't spend a lot of time like, oh, you're so stupid. Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. My response to doing something and I know I can do better is, well, how do I get better? Or, you know what? Everybody makes mistakes. And I'm able to do that with myself because I do it with other people too. I really try to be considerate of the fact that everybody's going through their own stuff. I don't want to be judgmental. So like I said, with that inner child work, you just have to give yourself permission to heal and know that it's okay. Like, I'm really excited. I think I'm going to get me, like, some baby dolls or some Barbies or something to, like, love on my inner child a little bit more. Like I said, I read stories and I play with my son and different things like that. I watch cartoons. And like I said, I just have dialogue, just spending time with myself and re-identifying with that inner child that got so hurt and so traumatized that it's affecting all of my dealings and workings now that I'm a 31-year-old adult, so that's the video. I didn't want to be all long or whatever, but that's pretty much it. And like I said, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, definitely, like I said, reach out to a professional. That's not me. I'll help as much as I can, but I'm still working to get to that point. But that's about it I wanted to talk about. Bye.